Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now, E.H. Palmer calls Suwrah Nisa the chapter of women. And, the chapter of women. And he talks about the previous translators not quite being accurate in some parts of the translation, but and this is because, why not make the mention of hell as severe as it's said? Why not make this, when he kind of plays games with other terms, like he reduces the graphic nature of the mention of sex in particular. Not that they're going over the details of anything like that or creating a pornographic story or anything like that, but he kind of downplays some of what's being said. In the name of the merciful and compassionate Allah, O ye folk, fear your Lord who created you from one soul, and created therefrom its mate, and diffused from them twain many men and women, and fear Allah, in whose name ye beg of one another, and the wombs verily Allah over you doth watch, and give unto the orphans their property, and give them not the violent exchange for the good, and devour not their property to your own property. Verily that were a great sin, but if you fear that ye cannot do justice between the orphans, then marry what seems good to you of women by twos or threes or fours. You can marry up to 4 women at a time. And if ye fear ye cannot be equitable, then only one, or what your right hands possess, that keeps you nearer to not being partial. So of those 4 can be your slaves, but that doesn't mean you're forcing the slaves into marriage. It's still their choice. And honestly, what country treats their employees with the rights that Islam calls for the slaves? Are your the maids and butlers and whatnot? And anyways, and give women their dowries freely, and if they are good enough to remit any of it themselves, then devour it with good digestion and appetite. But do not give up to fools their property, which Allah has made you to stand by, but maintain them from it, and clothe them, and speak to them with a reasonable speech. Prove orphans until they reach a marriageable age, and if ye perceive in them right management, then hand over to them their property, and do not devour it extravagantly in anticipation of their growing up. And he who is rich, let him abstain, but he who is poor, let him devour in reason. And when ye hand over to them their property, then take witnesses against them, but Allah sufficeth for taking account. Men should have a portion of what their parents and kindred leave, and women should have a portion of what their parents and kindred leave, whether it be little or much, a determined portion. And when the next of kin and the orphans and the poor are present at the division, then maintain them out of it, and speak to them a reasonable speech, and let these fear lest they leave behind them a weak seed, for whom they would be afraid, and let them fear Allah, and speak a straightforward speech. Verily those who devour the property of orphans unjustly only devour into their bellies fire, and they shall broil in flames. Allah instructs you concerning your children, for a male the like of the portion of 2 females, and if there be women above 2, then let them have 2/3 of what leaves, and if there be but one, then let her have the half. And as to the parents, each of them a sixth of what he leaves, if he has a son. But if he has no son, and his parents inherit, let his mother have a third. And if he have brethren, let his mother have a third. And if he have a sixth after payment of the bequest, and he bequeaths, and of his debt, so up to a third of the inheritance. But it's a great mercy that the women get any inheritance, considering that the males have the responsibility of providing for the women's needs in society, and that responsibility goes over to the government, so it's really an advantage in terms of inheritance here. But in the West, there is no inheritance rights for women. It's just whatever's signed off. Your parents or your children, ye know not which of them is nearest to you in usefulness. An ordinance this from Allah, verily Allah is knowing and wise. And ye shall have the half of what your wives leave, and if they have no son, but if they have a son, then let them have a fourth of what they leave. After payment of the bequests they bequeath or of their debts, and they shall have a fourth of what ye leave, if ye have no son. But if ye have a son, then let them have an eighth of what ye leave. After payment of the bequest ye bequeath, and of your debts. And if the man's or the women's be inherited by a kinsman who is neither parent nor child, and he have a brother or a sister, then each one of these two have a sixth. But if they are more than that, let them share in a third after payments of the bequest. And he bequeaths of his debts without prejudice. An ordinance this from Allah, and Allah is knowing and clement. And these be Allah's bounds, and whoso obeys Allah and the Apostle, he will make him enter into gardens beneath which rivers flow, and they shall dwell therein for aye. That is the mighty happiness. But whoso rebels against Allah and his Apostle, and transgresses his bounds, he will make him enter the fire, to dwell therein for aye, and for him is shameful woe. Against those of your women who commit adultery, call witnesses, 4 in number from among yourselves, and if these bear witness, then keep the women in their houses until death release them, or Allah shall make for them a way. So away, as in it doesn't seem like they're going to do it again, are the extramarital sex. It's not just adultery. But there's other things being said here, like, for example, a punishment, and then they've been punished, and so you can't criticize people about the criminal punishment done in the past. And if 2 of you commit it, then hurt them both. But if they turn again and amend, leave them alone. Verily Allah is easily turned, compassionate. Allah is only bound to turn again towards those who do evil through ignorance, and then turn again. Surely these will Allah turn to, for Allah is knowing wise. His turning again is not for those who do evil, until when death comes before one of them, he says, now I turn again, nor yet for those who die in misbelief. For such of these have we prepared a grievous woe. O you who believe, it is not lawful for you to inherit women's estates against their will, nor to hinder them that ye may go off with the part of what ye brought them, unless they commit fornication manifestly, but associate with them in reason. For if ye are adverse from them, it may be that you are averse from something wherein Allah has put much good for you. Again, it's lewdness is a better way to put this, because it's a broader term and it captures what's being said. It's not the term that's explicit for an extramarital affair is something else. But if you wish to exchange one wife for another, and have given one of them a talent, then take not from it anything. What would you take it for? A calumny and a manifest crime? How can ye take it when one of you has gone into the other, and they have gone from you a rigid compact? And do not marry women your fathers married, except bygones. That's legal in America, apparently, but not religiously. For it is abominable and hateful, and an evil way, unlawful to you or your mothers, and your daughters, and your sisters, and your paternal aunts, and maternal aunts, and your brothers' daughters, and your sisters' daughters, and your foster mothers, and your foster sisters, and your wives' mothers, and your stepdaughters, who are your wards, born of your wives, to whom ye have gone in. But if ye have not gone in to them, then it is no crime to you, and the lawful spouses of your sons from your own loins, and that ye form a connection between two sisters, a connexion between two sisters, except bygones. Verily, Allah is forgiving, merciful, and married women, save such as your right hands possess. Marrying two sisters at a time, apparently, is legal in America if you're going to have just marriages and skip the civil union part. But again, it's wrong. Except bygones, verily, Allah is forgiving, merciful, and married women, such as your right hands possess. Allah's book against you, but lawful for you is all besides this, for you to seek them, and with your wealth marrying them, and not fornicating, not seeking lovers, or girlfriends even, is said there. But such of them as ye have enjoined, give them hire as the lawful do, for there is no crime in you about what ye agree between you after such do. Verily Allah is knowing and wise. And I think it was in New Jersey, even siblings and siblings can get married, and parents can have sex with their 18-year-old children. That's just some sick stuff. So we in America need to learn this stuff about the incest. That it's just not allowed, people. Because some people are going to look at this and say, well, we all know that we don't do that. They've legalized a lot of stuff, or it was illegal to begin with. I don't know what was going on in parts of the South and parts of the Northeast, and I don't remember if that's the only part of the country where there was that issue. But anyways, but whosoever you cannot go the length of marrying marriageable women who believe, and take of what your right hands possess of your maidens who believe, though Allah knows best about your faith. Ye come one from the other, then marry them with the permission of their people, and give them their hire in reason, they being chaste, and not fornicating, and not receivers of paramours. And again, something that one would think there is that one of the conditions of marriage is somebody testifying on their behalf. The wali is the protector. It's not just it's not per se the permission. It's that somebody's testifying, hey, this is what they want, and it's good for them. The men don't have that per se, although we can. It's not a requirement. But the women definitely have that. That there's in addition to the witnesses of the marriage, there's somebody doubly making sure on behalf of the women. But the people who leave, their marriage is postponed or annulled because they're believers, are that, a situation like that. It's not that, now there's somebody over there, because the slaves would come in via war. They wouldn't come in because they were born into slavery. Islam doesn't have that. But when they are married, if they commit fornication, then inflict upon them half the penalty for married women, and that is for whomsoever you fears wrong. But that ye should have patience is better for you, and Allah is forgiving and merciful. Now the Bible, New Testament and Old Testament, you definitely see the support of the death penalty for consensual adultery. But how can this proves that wrong as being part of the international rule nowadays? Because just think about that. How can you half stone someone to death? You can't. And honestly, I would think this would go for the other type of slave, the prisoners, the people, whether they're in there for a crime they committed or whether they're in there for something else. Look at that people. They've got when they commit a crime, that's not a death penalty crime, by the way. I'm hinting at some stuff that goes on. That it's, if it's something you survive with, half the penalty, because they're, although that's specifically in regards to, if they... Allah wishes to explain to you and to guide you in the ordinances of those who are before you and turn towards you, for Allah is knowing wise. Allah wishes to turn towards you, but those who follow their lust wish that ye should swerve with a mighty swerving. Allah wishes to make it light for you, for man was created weak. O you who believe, devour not your property amongst yourselves vainly, unless it be a merchandise by mutual consent, and do not kill yourselves. Verily, Allah is compassionate unto you. And that thing about not killing yourself is one of the reasons why you don't involve yourself with drugs. That's sort of a side verse, other than the 4 typical verse that you don't kill yourself. Well, if the leading causes of death are food, nicotine, drugs, alcohol, like stuff, and other drugs, really, the cause of death 2 through 4, good reason not to do it. Another reason to be careful of anything that would needlessly cause your death due to self-harm. But whoso does that maliciously and unjustly, we will broil him with fire. For that is easy with the law. If ye avoid great sins from which ye are forbidden, we will cover your offenses and make you enter with a noble entrance. And do not covet that by which the law has preferred one of you above another. The men shall have a portion of what they earn, and the women a portion of what they earn. Ask Allah for His grace. Verily Allah knows all. To everyone we have appointed kinsfolk as heirs of what His parents and relatives and those with whom ye have joined right hands leave. So give them their portions, for verily Allah is over all a witness. Men stand superior to women in that Allah has preferred some of them over others. That's not a proper translation. Men have a certain authority, a responsibility. Superior is not a correct way to say it, unless you say that men have certain physical and psychological superiorities over women, and of course women have some over them, and then you'll see this in the context of, and in that they expend of their wealth, and the virtuous women devoted and careful, and the husband's abstinence, as the law has cared for them. But those whose perverseness ye fear, admonish them, and remove them into the bedchambers, and beat them. But if they submit to you, then do not seek a way against them. Verily Allah is high and great. You'll see again the emphasis of the lawful and the fair, that the husband obeying the wife, but you have to have the reason to fear, because they're doing wrong, and you can't talk to them about it, and you've tried separation, and honestly, most they've done polls of stuff like this, and it seems rather consistent that even in Western countries, most women, rather than it being known, oh, I caused a problem and now I'm divorced, they'd rather get a spanking or something to prevent it. And beat is not the same word as is used for slaves. So again, in the West, women have an advantage that they earn more for the work that they're doing than men. Men ask for raises more, we do more overtime. So if you factor all that in together, there's really an advantage in women in getting paid in the West, but each gets paid for the work they do, should be how it works. But men earn more than women. So that's what's being talked about, And if ye fear a breach between the two, then send a judge from among his people and a judge from her people. And if they wish reconciliation, the law will arrange between them. Verily, Allah is knowing and aware. Again, marriage counseling as, a further step. They're trying to keep the family together here. And the Arabic word for divorce is this, or one of the words related to it, or something has to do with it's the splitting of the atom. Is the same language is being used here. And there's other interesting things like that the Arabic speakers know. And serve Allah, and do not associate aught with him, and to your parents show kindness, and to kindred and orphans and the poor, and the neighbor who is of akin, and the neighbor who is a stranger, and the companion who is strange, and the son of the road, and what your right hands possess. Verily Allah loves not him who is proud and boastful, who are miserly and bid men to be miserly too, and who hide what Allah has given them of his grace. But we have not prepared for the misbelievers shameful woe. Well, they prepared it for themselves, but anyways. And those who expend their wealth in alms for appearance's sake before men, and who believe not in Allah nor in the last day, but whoever has Satan for his mate, an evil mate has he. What harm would it do them if they believed in Allah on the last day and expend in alms of what Allah has provided them with? But Allah knows about them. Verily Allah would not wrong by the weight of an atom, and if it's a good work, he will double it and bring from himself a mighty higher. And then when we bring from every nation a witness, and bring thee as a witness against those on the day when those who misbelieve and rebel against the apostle would fain that the earth were leveled with them, but they cannot hide the news from Allah. But ye who believe, approach not prayer while ye are drunk, until ye well know what you say, nor yet while polluted, unless ye be passing by the way, unless ye have washed yourselves. But if ye be sick, or on a journey, or ye have come from the privy, or you have sexually touched a woman, and ye cannot find water, then use good surface sand, then wipe your faces and your hands therewith. Verily Allah pardons and forgives. You can tap the clean dirt or a clean surface if that's not available, or cleanish or something God wants you to. But the keep away from, it's not polluted. Janub is keep away from. You're not polluted because you've had sex, or because you're menstruating, because a woman has menstruated. Or the lesser keep away from is that you the bleeding or something like that. These are keep away from, but not impure. The najis is that's not being said here. But it's not just drunk; it's your mind's befogged, and one of the befogglements is of sleep, and the others in my time of dying sort of thing. So this is the dry ablutions. Do ye not see? And of course the touching, or if you have touched a woman, again the language, the sexual penetration. So a sex act has occurred or started, and under Islamic law, if a sex act started whether it's a personal matter or a criminal matter. If it started, that's it. We're not saying, well, it didn't finish, so let's not execute that rapist. No, I'm sorry. That doesn't work that way. Do ye not see that those who have been given a portion of the book, they by error, and they wish that ye may err from the way? But Allah knows best who your enemies are, and Allah suffices as a patron, and sufficient is Allah as a help. And those who are Jews, and those who pervert the words from their places, and say, we hear and we rebel, and do not thou listen without hearing, and distorting it with their tongues, and taunting about religion. And, there's certain terms that can that sound like something else, and people would twist them, so you've got to be careful about those terms. But had they said, we hear and we obey, so listen and look upon us, if it would have been better for them and more upright. But may Allah curse them in their misbelief, for they will not believe except a few. O ye who've been given the book, believe in what we have revealed, confirming what ye had before, ere we deface your faces and turn them into hinder parts, or curse you as we curse the fellows of the Sabbath, when Allah's command was done. And I think it's important to think of some of the Kabbalistic analysis and changing of the terms, and the Talmudic, this because of this, because of this, and finally you don't obey the written commandment in the first place because the rabbis have philosophized it away from what it was, to the point where you don't even remember, or it's even the opposite. There are certain texts. This happens more in the Christian thing, where every generation they changed it. And there was 3, and you actually had the angel names in one of the old versions, and stuff being added and taken. That was done, but there were words being twisted, like keshti instead of kushti, whether as insults or otherwise. And this was something that existed before the Kabbalistic movement. Oh, misbelief, for they will not believe except a few. O ye who believe, O ye who have been O ye who have been given the book, believe in what we have revealed, confirming what ye had before, ere we deface your faces and turn them into hinder parts, or curse you as we curse the fellows of the Sabbath, when Allah's command was done. Verily Allah pardons not, associating aught with him, but he pardons anything short of that, to whomsoever he pleases. But he who associates aught with Allah, he hath devised a mighty sin. Do ye not see those who purify themselves? Nay, Allah purifies whom he will, and they shall not be wrong to straw. Behold how they devise against the law a lie, and that is manifest sin enough. Do ye not see those to whom a portion of the book has been given, they believe in Egypt and Tagut? And I'm going to go. And they say of those who misbelieve, these are better guided in the way than those who believe. These are whom Allah has cursed, and whom Allah has cursed, no helper shall he find. Shall they have a portion of the kingdom? Why, even then they would not give to men a jot. Do they envy man for what Allah has given of his grace? We have given to Abraham's people the book and the wisdom, and we have given them a mighty kingdom, and of them are some who believe therein, and of them are some who turn from it. But hell is flaming enough for them. And I thought to share here what the E.H. Palmer definition is of Tagut, idols of ancient Arabia. Jipt is superstition, and Bagut is the rebellion or the idol. But I thought I'd share here, again, the themes of West in particular, sometimes North, but West last night, it was like I was in an office building after some of the psychedelics cleared in this fifth night of Ramadan. Yeah, the fifth night of Ramadan. And it was like there was this purple circulish blob or something, but my attention is being drawn towards the West in this dream. And I'll stop.